any and all unnecessary disturbances, please place your devices on silent, vibrate, or off settings. Additionally, if you would like to speak on any agenda item, please complete a citizen participation form. If, however, you will be speaking during the public hearing section of tonight's meeting, you will only be asked to state your name and address, which is optional for the record at that time. I'm also going to read one more statement. In order to maintain orderly conduct and proper decorum in this public meeting, please refrain from any remarks or actions that are disruptive or intended to be slanderous, obscene, offensive, threatening, or insightful in any way. Any speaker purposefully failing to comply with the above will be asked to leave the chambers. We have 1 minute. Thank you. The time is 7:40. We now open up our regular session of the Historic Town of Eatonville Council meeting this Tuesday, January 3rd. Please, do we have a verification of quorum?
Yes,
Quorum.
we do. Yes, we do have a quorum.
Quorum. Thank you. Mrs. King. Stand for invocation by Pastor Critton, followed by pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray. Our Father God, we thank you again for the opportunity that you give us to live, to move, to have our being. We want to thank you again for this community, this town, this city of Eatonville that you have placed us in to be stewards and overseers of. We want to continue to lift up the leaders of this community, specifically the mayor, the councilman, the public works servants, everyone that contributes to this community to make it better. We pray that you continue to bless them and keep them. We pray that you continue to give our administration the discretion and the wisdom and the insight to make decisions that will be beneficial and advantageous for this community. We thank you also again for each resident of this community, that you continue to bless us to live in harmony and unity with one another, to respect each other's personalities as well as properties. And again, we thank you for this town council meeting where we can come and be further educated and updated on the state and the welfare of this community. We thank you for what you're doing in, through, and for Eatonville. We give you the praise and the glory and the honor for it all. We ask you all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on the agenda is a motion to approve the agenda. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Citizen participation.
Yes, we have 4. And the first one I would read on behalf of Gracie Casey, who resides at 342 Amador Circle. Greetings, Mayor Angie Gardner. This is Gracie Casey, and I'd like to recognize 2 Eatonville finest police officers. Detective B. Lampkins and Officer Diggs. Although all the officers are exceptionally great, I had the opportunity recently to interact with 2 of them. Detective Lampkins and Officer Diggs, I want to thank you so much for speaking to my nephew, Elijah, and helping him to understand the consequences of his behavior and bad choices as he continues to make while he's in school. It was very impactful. It is so comforting to know that I live in a community where law enforcement is fully engaged and so willing to go above and beyond the call of duty. What you both did for Elijah and what you do for others will change the trajectory of their future. I would like to see the Police Explorer be revived again, as well as other programs that would benefit our youth and young people. I'm sure that it would be welcomed by our community. Continue to be safe as you continue to keep this community safe. We love you. And our second citizen participation will be Edward Cole.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, town staff, legal. I want to speak on a couple things. Preserve Eatonville Community. That's what's the name. Preserve Eatonville Community. That means that they're looking for economic dollars too. When we look at 35 years, have anybody asked how much money did they bring in? And I'm talking about the ZOR, because when residents have to do anything at the ZOR, they have to pay for it, the residents of Eatonville. So how much economic development have they done for the town? Check out the reason why they're in business or what they're doing. Preserve Eatonville. I got a flyer on my door. It has the town logo on it. It has Pastor Madison calling me, asking me what do we need to do. Have some more residents asking what we need to do, and it's not even us that's doing it. We got to be careful, because this is not really looking good that the community is a part of something this nonprofit agency is doing. We have to be careful on that. I was with Teresa Jacobs and the school board with the school board property. A lot of people don't know what we end up getting is over $4 million. We got 6 acres of land, which is that L where we have the Zora Festival, all the way down to the end of the school, to the beginning of Hungerford School. We have a grant that we are applied in $5.9 million. Do the community know that's a reimbursable grant? So that means you're going to have to get that money for it to start, to make it happen. So in our time, we were saying we want to use that $4 million to start the reimbursable grant. If our water pipes break, everybody that stood up here and said how much they love Eatonville has no plan for us to get it fixed. When our water was off 12 and 13 hours, where were they then? Their water was on because they don't live here. So even a lot of the names on those lists are people that don't live in Eatonville. It's a lot of chatter, and it's a lot of things that are not true. Teresa Jacobs, or Chairman Jacobs, moved all the funds that we would have had to pay for them keeping that up, paid in full. So we're saying things that are not true. What's going to happen is that system is bigger than ours throughout. Our mouth is loud, but my grandmother said it's like you don't have eye water to cry with. So we must be careful what we say, how we say it, and understand economic development. It's a house on Bethune right now going for $270,000. It's an old house, and somebody's going to buy it. Why can't other people build houses? Why do everyone think African Americans are poor? If you don't have the money to buy it, that's okay, but there is so many that can buy those houses. I know that for a fact. I know that if we get with Bethune-Cookman and FAMU and those guys and those ladies that are graduating and sell Eatonville like that flyer out there when they say come to move to Eatonville, they'll come here. My daughter would have came back. Vanessa McCall would have came back, but we didn't have no profit. Be careful of calling us poor. We buy whatever we want to buy and do whatever we want to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ryan Novick.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. First meeting of the year, eh? The water thing that we talked about in the last one, so there's a few things that I wanted to talk about, but now there's a few things that I would need to talk about. Oh man, that's the sky's falling when you guys talk about it. I really hope we can figure something out, because I don't know nothing about that. The logo use, though, very important, and all of you guys were right about it. So even if we didn't trademark the logo, directly with the state or the federal. There is a common law trademark which applies to a city's logo to just be defaultly trademarked. Additionally, the state of Florida generally has a blanket code for city trademarks as well, so that likely would pass down to what we have for the use of it. But the city of Cocoa actually has a really well-written application for using the logo. So as you guys were talking about, very simple, just make a policy and then nip it in the bud. We are not a melting pot. Man, I gotta say, I have probably been misusing that phrase for my entire life. The melting pot theory of multiculturalism assumes that various immigrant groups will tend to melt together, abandoning their individual cultures, eventually becoming fully assimilated into the predominant society. I probably just used that in a blend of cultures, not fully understanding that melting actually meant, getting rid of culture. So, yeah, I hope we're not a melting pot. I like the uniqueness of Eatonville and the cultures that everyone has here. So, that was my previous things. Now, onto the current ones. What I wish that I could have from everyone here, very, very simply, is some goals for 2023. I would really love to see what you guys have planned for the year, putting forth, what your ideas are, what we want to get accomplished. I know what we start off day one in 23 is probably not how things are going to end at the end of the year, but it'd be pretty cool to see where you guys want to try to drive things. Vice Mayor Daniels, you had said a number of times, progress through understanding. And I want to say that in the back half of last year, those words not only resonated for me, but I also felt it from you guys on the chambers and in this council. And I want to thank all of you for that, to really stressing that point and making it make more sense for me. So very good. I want to give Ms. King a lot of kudos because her responsiveness is bar none, and I greatly appreciate just how quick she is with getting responses, how well she's put together these presentations, so that if we don't grab these papers, well, we've got the meeting agenda right in front of us, which I greatly appreciate. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right, the next one and the last one. Well, it was here. Angela Johnson. You can come to the podium.
Good evening, council, mayor, council, fellow residents. I too would like to give kudos to Ms. King. I love her responsiveness, the way that a part of our website has been rebranded, rebuilt. It actually looks like we have two different websites, so I would encourage that to be something. I know we've been talking about it for the last year with updating the town's website. I had an opportunity to look at the video from the last meeting prior to the Christmas holiday. Mr. Singh, thank you very much for restating a number of things that have been stated for the last 2 years, that a number of us have been sitting here. I think that you brought light to the fact that the prior administration just kind of failed the town with the proper oversight of our finances, the financial position, the lack of records to understand what the condition is of our infrastructure, pipe location, whether or not those assets, what their now useful life is. All of that stuff should be clearly stated in the financial statements, and hopefully we will get there. Which brings up a question for you. I know that on the consent agenda tonight is to hire a qualified CPA temporarily. And if you can give some clarity, is that specifically just to help them get through the audit that is currently, I guess, a little bit behind the schedule. And then when we look at the consent agenda again for the services of Planned Active Studio, you have a max of 40,000 at 175 an hour. That's about 228 hours. So the question is, how much time have we contracted over the last 6 months with the various different projects that have been reviewed. And I don't know, rumor has it that we've hired a planner. I'm not sure if that person is just doing simple plans review, and whether or not the amount that you're requesting is going to be sufficient for what the needs are of the town with moving forward. I will echo what Ryan just asked as to what are the goals of 2023. At that meeting on December the 20th, a number of you sat up here and kind of just said, okay, we agree that we know where we are, and I'm going to again ask the question, will you come together for a planning retreat so that you're on the same page, so that you know where you're going, so that you can set the goals? And those are things that have been before you prior to Mr. Steen coming on board, but hopefully he will be that person that will be the, get the wheel turning so that we can move forward. And with hiring a number of positions, I know there was an approval that was brought forward by you, Marlon, about a compensation study, and something needs to be done, not just compensation, but the entire staffing. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have no more.
Next item on the agenda is the public hearing, approval of public hearing of the rezoning request at 200 South Lake Destiny Drive.
Good evening, I'm Tara Salmary, town planning consultant, meaning mayor, vice mayor, council members, members of the board, and members of the community. This evening, what's before you, the planning item is development 2022.06 is a rezoning. And the rezoning is for this vacant piece of land on 200 South Lake Destiny Drive. You'll see on both of the maps, there's the zoning map is on the left and the future land use map is on the right. The request is to change the zoning classification from industrial zoning to a commercial zoning district. Currently, the existing zoning is I1, which is industrial. The future land use is commercial. The surrounding area of the land, you'll see the colors of the map will signify what that zoning district is. On the north side, it's a commercial land use designation with a commercial zoning. On the south is industrial with industrial zoning. East is industrial with industrial zoning, and then west is commercial with a C3 zoning designation. I've put together in your packet as well that this table is provided in your comprehensive plan. So the comprehensive plan assigns a land use designation, and the zoning assigns a zoning district. The intent of a future land use designation assignment is for zoning to be consistent with that land use. So what I've highlighted is if you have a designation of a commercial land use, there are roughly 3 zoning districts that land can be assigned, and they're all commercial. Next slide. The zoning districts for commercial land use has 3. There's C1, C2, and C3. I highlighted C1. That's the applicant rezone request. However, with the commercial land use designation, the applicant could have requested one of those 3 zoning districts. Just to note that C1 is the least intense of all the zoning districts for commercial. And then I also provided the board I did your zoning doesn't have a lot of tables that you can look at things side by side, but I did a table so that you could look at what C1 uses are, C2 and C3, and what the differences are. So those are just really informative for you to kind of know. If you look at the C1, it has probably the least amount of uses, and then if you look at the intensity, when you go to 2 and 3, that just really means that you can have more uses, and then you can have more intensity. Next slide, please. So currently, as I said, this property has an industrial zoning designation. The land use is a commercial, so it's inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. So today, I'll give you that example. That is, the applicant came forward and wanted to do a building on that. the town would have to deny any development because the industrial district is not consistent with your comp plan. So it renders that this piece of land as is can't really develop. So the application is the lowest density, as I've said. It goes to C1. The rezoning will, once this gets rezoned, it becomes consistent with your comprehensive plan. It doesn't violate the Florida state statutes. Next slide. And it really is a compatibility with the surrounding area with the lowest intensity as well. So the planning recommendation is, by Florida statute, and I've listed what the statute is. It requires all applications for the Land Development Code to be consistent with the town's adopted comprehensive plan. So that this piece of land is not. The zoning, once it's rezoned, if this gets approved by the council, it becomes consistent with your comprehensive plan. The planning board heard this item on December 8th. They've recommended approval. There's an ordinance attached as well. And the other thing that I want to say before I conclude is this does not give the applicant a right to develop without coming to this board with a site plan approval. So all this does is rezone the land to be consistent with a comprehensive plan. There is not a site plan to look at this point because they don't have the entitlements to actually do that. So if this gets rezoned, the applicant would have the ability to come back with a site plan and to have the board look at that as well. Next slide. That concludes my presentation. The applicant is also here, and I also give him an opportunity to come and speak if he has anything that he would like to say. And I'm available for questions as well.
All right, do you have any, doesn't matter?
No citizen participation.
If the applicant speaks first, or do we?
No, that's typical. But before you all get to deciding, I would like to have Mrs. Salmary come back because I will probably have questions to make sure there's a clear record.
Okay.
Good evening, Logan Opsall, 215 North Eola Drive in Orlando. Really just want to introduce myself. I appreciate the context and the background information staff provided. This sort of inconsistency component, this idea, it doesn't happen very often, but it happens often enough that sometimes we need to do a rezone. Here, it just so happens that the future land use and the requested zoning comply. They're consistent with one another. And as Tara noted, we are requesting C1 to try to make just a clean rezone without the high intensity that the other commercial zoning districts have. So this is step one to any sort of development. We look forward to working with the town, and of course we need to come back before this body for any approvals of what would be developed there. But just wanted to introduce myself and happy to answer any questions as well.
Thank you. So we'll have to open up first before, or do you
Well,
have questions for her now?
I have questions that it may spur
Okay.
more questions.
There you go.
It's really for clarification.
Okay.
So if I understand the presentation, the current comp plan and the current zoning do not fit together.
That's correct.
And so as between those two, the comp plan controls.
The comp plan is the ruler, yes.
So if the applicant came forward with an application to do something under the current zoning, it would have to be denied because it's inconsistent with the comp plan.
That's correct.
And so the way to fix that is either amend the comp plan to something consistent with the zoning, which is usually the opposite of what you do, or amend the zoning to be consistent with the comp plan.
Correct.
And what they're trying to do is amend the zoning to something that's consistent with the comp plan.
Correct.
Okay.
The floor is now open to anyone wanting to make any comments regarding this item only.
Question.
Okay, it's open. All right, seeing that there are no speakers, we will go ahead and close the public hearing portion of this item. Vice Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
Question. What was that? Opsall?
Oh.
Did I pronounce it right?
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner.
Any idea of what you, if this were to, you were to change the zoning, any idea what you would want to do on that lane?
Yeah, currently, what's being discussed and planned is an office use.
Are there any other?
I just like to thank you for the presentation. Thank you. The last time we did this here, they want to emphasize that they was just doing the zoning. The other time we did it, they did the zoning and they just didn't come back to the board at all. So I really appreciate you doing that. So thank you.
And my question was this. I understand the C1, and I understand what our current comp plan allows. And I always have this question. So if, right now, the desire, we know the desire, but on the liquor lounge and the package store, the nightclub, I know that's in our plan. So would we, even if we approve this, we'd have to perhaps amend our plan if we don't want, if we want that to be a special exception?
Yeah, I mean, currently, the applicant moves forward with what a zoning district and the uses that are permitted. They're not special exceptions in C1. The board could have the opportunity to make a recommendation that you wanted a different zoning district if that was a concern, but, and I can defer to the attorney as well. You can't change a use if the use is already in that zoning district.
Unless we
Unless you,
Yes.
unless you amend that, but at
Yes.
this time when an application is forward, it's not recommended to do.
right.
Right now, there's no pending application for use, it's just for rezoning.
Right.
But if you want to look at the uses in the code and the zoning where they're permitted and move some of that around, and again, this is a big and because Mr. Opsahl said that right now they're thinking about office use, but they haven't applied for any use. So if between now and the time they applied for a use, there's some use in there that you'd prefer to be as a special exception or some sort of conditional thing, then yes, but you'd need to fast track it because what Ms. Silmary is alluding to is once they file an application based on the use that's there and permitted, you really need to go look at whether they comply and the application meets all the criteria as opposed to whether you like it or not.
All right. Thank you.
So I want to ask clear, does this mean that this is going to be we're going to amend what?
Zoning.
The
zoning map.
The zoning map.
The zoning map and the assignment of the zoning district to this parcel of land from an industrial zoning district to a commercial zoning district, which is C1. That's the applicant's request. And that does make the zoning consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Any other questions?
And there's only one hearing on this, correct?
Correct? For the rezone, but not for development,
Right.
no.
And when was this put out for the residents?
Defer to the town clerk for that.
Yeah, 15 days prior to,
So it was posted?
yes. Posted on the website, posted on the bulletin board in Orlando Sentinel.
It also went through planning board.
Yeah,
Also
it went to the
through
planning board
planning
as well
zoning board.
on December 8th. So it's been posted multiple times.
And it's just one hearing for the zoning?
Just for the amendment of the zoning map, yes.
So, and I'm glad you put this C1, C2, C3 in there because it changed so much. So, retail store, personal service store, business professional office, which that's what Mr. Opsahl is saying right now. Business and financial service, liquor lounge, package store, or nightclub. What's considered essential services?
Well, your code is pretty loose on what that definition is. There isn't a real tried and true definition in the land development code of what's considered essential. So then what you would do is you would defer to Merriam-Webster on what essential service is.
I will say that based on the pandemic, we found out that a whole lot of things that we didn't think were essential are.
Off-street parking and loading.
Can you, are you finished?
Come back now, go ahead.
Ms. Salmeri, one question. Can you think of an example of recommendation of approval in part with or without conditions and denial in part? Can you think of anything?
I personally can't, but I would ask maybe the attorney to
An
be a little bit
island?
more. It's the conditions of approval.
D.
It's the, if you look at that, it's just a standard item to put
Okay.
on that.
In certain types of rezonings, you can impose certain conditions, or the conditions can be agreed to by the applicant, as an example. If whatever we're not, they don't have a plan where we know that, but they could agree to, well, we're going to add a buffer on the other side of the property to that, so you could add a condition. We're not at that stage, because that usually comes with site plan and all that stuff. And in terms of the other one, which is denial in part, it would depend on whether this was a situation where it doesn't apply here, but sometimes you have more than one parcel, so one is zoned this and one is zoned that, and so you might say, this is okay here, but that's not okay there.
So if we have to amend this for the zoning, or the proper, let's say if we were going to approve this, would it be with conditions?
No, there's not, right now, there's no application for a specific project. This is just to get the land use under your comp plan, which again, if you look at the hierarchy, that sits up here, and then your zoning to be consistent. Right now, they're inconsistent. You've got this land use, and all the things that would flow down from that, it's not any of those. The applicant is trying to bring it over here where it's consistent, because while it's over here, they can't even apply for anything. It's not, it would automatically be denied. At least if they get it under a consistent category, whether that's C1, C2, or C3, then they have a list of uses and they can figure out, okay, now we know what we can do with the property.
Question, Salmar. Nightclubs. By statute, what are considered nightclubs?
I don't have a statute in front of me to answer that question.
Will adult entertainment fall up under nightclubs?
Oh, no, that's a separate ordinance.
Could it be put there? Up on C1?
No,
Not unless y'all do it.
not unless you do that, but currently today, no, that, they're regulated differently. They can't be folded into a nightclub.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. So, you already read
No, I need to read the preamble.
Mrs. King.
You want me to move forward? Okay. Ordinance number 2022-13, an ordinance of the town of Eatonville, Florida, changing the zoning classification from I-1 industrial to C1 commercial on certain real property containing approximately 3.70 acres, finding such zoning to be consistent with the Eatonville Comprehensive Plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official town zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
All right, the motion is on the floor to approve the rezoning. Ordinance 2022-13. It's been moved and seconded. All,
Discussion.
yes.
So, prime example, and now we just came out of a workshop talking about implementation, water, and all those things. Do we know of adding on, we're talking about development, adding on to this area what implication this will have on our water system? Because now we just got done talking about it, but this was the importance matter that I was talking about of the study to know, could our water, and I guess I'll direct that to Mr. Singh, do we know if a structure of this size or because of the land acreage, if our system can handle it at this moment?
Mr. Singh, prior to your speaking, this is about rezoning it. So even if he had a plan, it's still a zoning inconsistency. So, Mr. Singh, you may address it.
Right, well, hold on a second. And I get that, man, but this is all about the dialect and the conversations before we make a decision. Because we make a decision and then it start moving, I don't want to hear this back, oh, we did this and it wasn't done right. That's why we have to make educated decisions right now, know all the parts of the puzzle right now. Okay?
Mr. Singh.
I can't answer that question right now. And even if I know what the capacity is, we don't know what's going to be built there. Office, is it, 2 offices? It's, 10 stories, 2 stories? I have no idea.
Would it be appropriate to ask the owner what is going to be there?
If I, what I would say is that the question that Councilman Daniels has is probably more suited during a site plan review, and that you can look at that versus deciding whether or not an assignment of a zoning district is the correct thing to do. It's really the capacity question that you're asking is very relevant in a site plan review. So I think to know that that's something when staff develops a site plan review for this, that you're expecting to know that answer is appropriate in that stage.
A different way to answer that question, which is exactly the same, but to make it understandable, is that right now, because of the nature of the type of hearing, quasi-judicial, the only question before you is, does it meet the requirements? And is there any evidence that it doesn't? And if there's no evidence that it doesn't, your choices are very limited. But in terms of when they do make an application, things like site plan, impact on neighbors, setbacks, other stuff, capacities, which, by the way, the town should already know its capacity, so that point is correct. But yeah, all that stuff comes into play. And it should be reviewed at that time through the competent staff. Your utility people should look at water. Your fire people should look at fire. Your police should look at police, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of that's called development review, and it's supposed to be part of the package that ultimately comes here.
Thank you. All right.
I will say something, but I don't want to go there. I'm sorry, I don't want to go there.
With that being said, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor of ordinance 2022-13, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Mrs. King, could you do a roll call?
I sure can. Councilwoman Randall?
Aye.
Councilman Washington?
Aye.
Mayor Gardner?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Daniels?
All right.
Councilman Daniels?
Aye.
All opposed? So we,
The ayes have it.
the ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda for the town council meetings, Plan Active Studio, support services contract, hiring of the temporary CPA, and the CPH proposal.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I really only heard 3.
Point of clarity. Just point of order, if you don't, Robert Rules order, if you don't hear a nay, that means that it's a yes vote, am I correct?
If you don't hear it, well, the answer is it's taken as a yes vote, but it also is, if you're not sure you had 3, then the voice vote is appropriate.
But when you say any nays and you don't hear a nay, that means no one is.
I can't hear much anyway, so, but yes.
I have it as the motion passes.
Thank you. All right, so the reports. Chief, there are no council decisions. Mr. Singh.
Just quickly, I'm continuing to work on all the things I mentioned at the last meeting. Just to give you a quick update regarding assessment fees. fire assessment fees and law enforcement assessment fees. I want to make sure we do our due diligence before we bring that back to you. Because there was a case in the city of Ocala in 2020 where the 5th District Court of Appeals ruled that the city of Ocala inappropriately levied a fire assessment. And the city had to put aside $79.3 million in an account to reimburse all of those citizens. So I say this because I know we want to get where we want to go. We want to do things quickly, but certain things cannot be rushed. These things require a certain level of care. And even though this council had approved the study, we have a fire assessment fee report, we have a law enforcement fee report. Law enforcement is a little more complicated than fire. And I am not comfortable with the report that was done, which may require us to start over. Just wanted to share that with you. And council, you could add to my comments.
Well, since it's my turn, the fire thing I had caught, and we discussed it with the mayor, and we pulled it because it was the wrong vehicle to get to the location you were headed. So you were on a hearse and you needed to be on a fire engine, and hearse is where you don't want to be ever. You know, we're all going to end up there, but not in a hurry. And so that was the idea, and so we provided some information to the town on how to go forward from there. If you want to go with a type of assessment, there's a way to go about it, and the way we were headed is the one that's going to get you in the cow trouble. So we take care of that. The only other thing I have from my report is I would still encourage the town to prioritize a retreat, or whatever you want to call it, so I can talk about some of the things that I think will help us get off on a firm and good start for 2023.
Thank you. Councilman James.
First off, Happy New Year to everyone. We're at a very pivotal moment in the history of the historical town of Edenville, and there's been a lot of things that's been said on the workshop, and now we have to be very careful on how we portray stuff and the callous of information that we're receiving or we're taking in. I would tell anybody to take opportunities instead of taking stuff and running with it, to really do your due diligence in gathering information and research. It's almost like we have people that's constantly standing up saying things because they're being instructed to say this by certain individuals and certain entities to pretty much stick the cap, try to make us move in a certain direction or whatever. I have better respect for people when they generally do it from the heart than to have alternative motives in doing things. And if we're truly going to move this community forward in 2023 and beyond, we really have to take time and do some self-reflecting on what's going on and what's been done in the past, what is happening right now, and what is to come. So I just want to encourage everybody to gather your data, gather your information, and take a true assessment of what's going on. We have quite a few things that's going on. I won't mention it out loud, but we received an email 3 o'clock this afternoon. And I'm going to trust that Mr. Singh and the mayor is going to address that issue that came over in reference to our police department. Public safety is important, and we constantly are having issues around America where people are having hate crimes and doing certain different things. So our public safety needs to be at the forefront. Our residents deserve that. Not only do our seniors, our mothers, our fathers, our children, everybody deserves to make sure that they're in a safe environment. So let's just encourage that going forward. As I stated before in the last thing, I would like to have more information on the Zora Festival. We discussed it in the workshop. And last year you said that would be the last time that this happened. We really need to have some clarity on the Zora Festival. I sent an email to the CAO, I think it was on yesterday after I received the flyer, just stating that no cost should be incurred by the residents of the historic town of Eatonville. The Preserved Eatonville Community, the PEC, is their own independent board, and any cost that's associated with that, since they didn't give us the due diligence of planning this event out and knowing what's going on, they should incur all the costs, and it shouldn't be at the cost of taxpayer dollars. That organization has already received over $75,000 of your taxpayer dollars. So I'm gonna be asking that organization also remember that that $75,000 of those taxpayer dollars need to be considered and not charge the residents for the upcoming Zora Festival. We just have to just stay our course. Things are happening behind the scenes, things are going forward. Don't be discouraged, don't be dismayed. That delay that you're seeing, things not moving forward, is not a denial. Things are happening and things will be seen in the coming future. Thank you.
Councilman Washington.
We'll be short. Happy New Year to everybody. And just stay safe. And for the Knight's family, we lost Miss Ruby Knight over the holidays. So blessings. My condolences to her family. That's all I have at the moment.
Councilwoman Randall.
Yes, good evening again. Okay, I have a couple of concerns. First of all, as everyone knows, historically, Eatonville has really been the forefront for the MLK Martin Luther King parade activities here in our town. Have not received any information about who's coordinating the parade, who's over the vendors, or anything like that. Any type of information have not been disseminated to the council. Also, I visited the Black Mayor's website the other day, and I saw where they are, again, as always, will be here in the town. Now, last year, when this event had taken place, the council was not invited, and that was something that was not a practice that I know of the past. In the previous years of all the mayors that have been here since I've been here in Eatonville, and that's been since 1976. So I understand they're going to be here in Eatonville for the Zora, I think it's the Zora Fest, maybe the Zora Fest, I think it's the Zora Fest. But I would like to know if we are invited to come, even though it may be someone else that may be spearheading that, but it always was a welcome invitation to all the council members as well as the mayor. Okay, so Mayor, who is spearheading the MLK parade activities?
I will mention in my comments.
Pardon?
I'll mention in my comments.
Okay. As well as vendors, who's over the vendors? Okay. Also, what's going on with code enforcement? Because I understand that the code enforcement officer is also over the recreation department. So are we going to hire a recreation supervisor or manager?
I'm going to get back to you and here's why. If there's a question, just quickly, just send an email to Mr. Singh and we can get that addressed. But if you would like a response to that last one, just send an email to Mr. Singh.
And so you can't answer that question?
I can, but if you would like that addressed, please send an email to Mr. Singh and we can get that cleared out.
Okay, I had two photos, but I'm not going to worry about putting those on the screen. Club Eaton, the building over on the left-hand side, the right-hand side, if you're going on West Street, side of that wall has come down. And it still is an eyesore and a safety hazard to the travelers as well as people who are driving their automobiles. So something really needs to be done about that. And I don't know whether or not the owner has been taking any action for safety, because it's a major hazard. The top of that building, you can see it on the side of the street. It's falling apart. So I want everyone to be aware of that particular danger and hazard. And especially when we have children coming in from school, anything can happen. So just be cautious of that. Also, there was 2 individuals that complained about the electric boxes out here on Kennedy Avenue. And they're not only there, but they're all over. So CenturyLink supposedly they have on their schedule to come out here and do something about that. That's been a long process because people are thinking that a lot of those boxes are active. Some of them are, and some of them have the wires torn out of those boxes. So just be cautious about those green boxes that you see along the highway. And also, I'd like to know, what is the update? Is this another question that I need to go to Mr. Singh? What is the update on the West Water Tower? Because it's in very poor appearance on the west side, on Kennedy.
Have you?
Do I need to refer this to you, Mayor, or Mr. Singh?
Well, I guess
On the
my
west
question
side.
would be the west
side.
water tower should have been done with the prior administration. I know the fencing and the area around it. So I definitely will have to get back with you on that.
Okay.
To see what that work should have been, because I just could be mistaken.
Okay. All right, the last thing that I have, and that is the second reading on the Hungerford property. This is a flyer that was given to me, one of these other flyers, and it says that it's projected to be February the 7th. Now, how did they know this and we don't know this as council members? Because at the last meeting, you stated that that particular meeting would be held in January. But how did they know about February the 7th? How did that come about? I'm asking the question.
And I'm writing it, please. I am writing it down, and I will address it. After you, Vice Mayor speaks, and I will address everything that's going to be addressed tonight, and it should be to answer your questions. Is there anything else?
No, there's nothing else. Thank you all very much. Have a happy new year. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. As everyone has said, Happy New Year. We are a melting pot, and I think that Mr. Novak had a great definition, and I got one in the place where different people, styles, theories, etc., are mixed together. I think with the common goal and a common cause of preserving our history. So with that being said, we can have this melting pot of different ethnic groups, different backgrounds. We can come together with all the main goal and one main cause of preserving our history. So it can be done. I want to thank Councilwoman Randolph for just keeping this water situation to the forefront. Pretty sure everyone has seen Jackson, Mississippi, and I want to thank our CAO as well of making us aware that I've always thought that each administration should take a little block, I always say a little block, of the water situation, the underground, and take that upon themselves to say, before I leave office, I want to make sure that I get at least some of these done with new piping or whatever. I also want to I guess address the situation with Councilman Washington. We keep saying that the planning department, something was done wrong. We have Ms. Tamara here now. I think that if you could just get with her, because I don't think that the former planner would jeopardize going to jail or jeopardize his license for doing something illegal. You said that on many occasions that the planning department didn't bring anything back to us. I think if you give her Miss Tammy and you guys talk, you'll see that they have certain privies to do that. You don't have to bring it back to council. Another thing is I want to just bring to your awareness that if everyone says retreat, In our last meeting, we tried to show that we're trying to get along up here. But if you can't come to the common ground, and let's just take this for instance, if you have a mentally challenged elderly man had his house taken or purchased, and we can't come to agree that that was wrong and that we need to come to a solution on how to give him his property back. If we can't come to that, how are we going to have a retreat and talk? We got to come on the same floor, the same platform, come on the same ground, knowing that we want to do right. When you have people taking stuff off of the agenda, we all know that that's wrong. Legal knows that that's wrong. Everyone knows that that's wrong. But we won't come on the same ground saying, hey, that was wrong. You shouldn't, you're not able to do that. No one says anything about it. I don't see anybody getting up saying, hey, that was wrong to take that off the agenda. You can't do that. If we're going to move forward with this without progress of understanding, then we got to come on the same ground of knowing that right is right and wrong is wrong. I'm going to say again, we are a melting pot, and I think that we can come together and make this happen. I have a couple of questions for Mr. English. I was going to ask to say, I was going to say again, so I apologize. Being an elected official, I feel as though it's my right as an elected official to address department heads. If I'm not directing them on anything, I should be able to address them and ask questions if I want in this public setting or email without having the mayor's approval, especially if it's just asking a question. And one of my questions would be to Mr. English. We did have money allocated for that water tower. I think it was maybe over a year ago. We had monies allocated to get that done. We also, from Mr. English, we had that water break, and I think there's still debris. Is that Washington or Lincoln? I think the debris is still there on Lincoln. And when are they going to get that up? And I know Mr. Singh was working on having to hold that company accountable for last, I think, like $100 and some thousand or something. But I don't know if that would cause us to go ahead and get that debris up, so that nobody will get hurt or make some town look good. So that was from Mr. English. I look forward to hearing his response in an email, please. He doesn't have to, contact me. Send that to me in email, and it's right here for public, record request if he needs to hear it on record, about the water tower on the west end, money allocated over a year ago, and the debris. So we're going to get that debris picked up on it. And that's my report. Have a good night.
Let me,
Yes.
you call my name out.
Councilman Washington.
Let me get some straight. The last time that developer came here to do those apartments down there, they did the zoning. That was it. That's why she emphasized that they have to come back to this council for site plan. They didn't do that down on the 4-story apartment complex who approved for 4 stories? Who approved that? The other apartments going up, 96 apartments going across the street, they never came to this council for anything. So that's why she said those words that they have to come back to this board for site plan approval. Thank you.
Happy New Year, everyone. Councilwoman Randolph, the last Zora was in June. I'm going to apologize to you. I did not get all the steps correct in making sure that the council was a part of that, the mayor's. However, my second item in my book is the Historic Black Settlements Alliance. Is January 28, 2023 at 8 a.m. The location is being worked out now because of the delegation size. In June it was here, but based on the delegation they're expecting, we need to find someplace else. You will receive a formal invitation. I did not forget. Attorney Shepherd, and this is so I don't forget. And I wrote the note. When agreements are signed, no matter what kind of agreement, even if it's CRA or, is there a disclaimer that can be placed somewhere in the agreement or added to that clarifies that agreement being signed incorporates any agreement out there?
Yeah, okay. What you're talking about is language that incorporates every other prior understanding, negotiation, et
Yes.
cetera, and says it's all merged into the document,
And
and it
every-
cannot otherwise be changed unless it's been agreed to by both parties, or if there's multiple parties in writing and
Full
and signed
disclosure.
off on.
Full
Yes.
disclosure.
All of that is possible. It's called an integration clause,
Okay.
and it integrates all of the stuff that's going into it, negotiations, discussion, and so forth, and says if it's not in here, it doesn't matter anymore.
Okay,
But and this is a but that apply. You said, can any agreement? Well, some agreements are mandated by state, like grants, and they won't let you change a comma.
okay,
But the ones that you control, where there's a negotiation, where there's an actual negotiation going on, yes.
okay. All right, thank you. The MLK Junior Parade, the actual flyer for the parade is on the website, so I don't know why it wasn't sent out, but I'll make sure. But the flyer's on the website, the same person that has been taking care of all the vendors, application process. I think I mentioned this in the last meeting about the MLK. Mrs. King was helping oversee to make sure that, to help the steps, just oversee the process. No?
No, I'm not helping to oversee the process. I am there to assist her
Okay.
when there
Yes.
is
Yes.
questions.
Thank that.
Okay, I just wanted to
Yes.
verify, because interpretation.
I mean, in regards to who's over the vendors, applications are going out. So if vendors want to be a part, they complete the vendor's application. So I'm hoping I'm answering your question.
Who's coordinating the parade? Who's the parade coordinator?
In the last meeting, I stated that Ms. Robinson was coordinating that parade. In the last meeting, I stated that.
So can we get information prior to, because I know it's quite a few things going on that weekend, you know, so can we just get information to know, well, we can go through this thing, because I have no indication of what time to be there, because it's multiple things happening, so I think this is a complicated.
Okay, so she can send
Yeah,
out.
she can tell us something preliminary. I mean, if we have to be somewhere at a certain
Okay.
time, let us know, because, you know,
Definitely.
people been asking about, you know, Orlando Parade is prior to ours, and then some people may go over there and do things and then come here. We just need to be able to plan it out.
Okay. It was mentioned about the 6 acres. How do we know? And the name was mentioned earlier. And I have to say this, because the 6 acres, the question was, why 6 acres? Why not 60? Why not all of them? Why not 1? So where did that 6 acres come from? And that's a question to be, I'm just gonna put that out in the atmosphere. The $2 million that was waived, and this is so we are straight, the $2 million, and it's in the minutes, it should be in the minutes, was something that was brought up by me. That $2 million was waived, but it was after I pointed it out in the agreement that items A through H or I had no amounts next to them. And then in a March 2022, 2021 meeting, 22 meeting, no, I'm sorry, not March, March 21 meeting maybe. That's when the $2 million figure was placed on the items that was in an agreement that we agreed to. So had we not brought that up, that $4 million would have been reduced by $2 million.
That's not true.
What? Not from the floor. Please check the minutes. Don't check me. Check the minutes. Goals for 2023 are pretty much in the minutes from Mr. Steen. One of the things I fought for Mr. Steen was his background in finance, because I stated that every department, no matter, public works didn't matter, you had to have a financial footing. That was one of the things that attracted me to the qualifications that he offered. So in dealing with what do I want my goals for 2023, first of all, know where we are financially. Let's just clear the air, good, bad, indifferent. Where are we financially? What do we need to work on? The other thing, and it's in the minutes, is the capital improvement plan. You know, we've had no map going forward. Capital improvement plan, we had one 2 decades ago, then we know to fix those pipes in that section. That's a plan. And knowing where you are financially helps support a plan, no matter what the plan is. Retreat has always been okay by me. Mrs. King, would you please get with, well, Mr. Singh, would you please get with Mrs. King to get a retreat set up and try to get a date scheduled. Zora Festival's not perfect, but we're making steps to make it better. And I think just by some of the things that Mr. Singh has said, you know, is some of the nemesis that have existed, especially paying law enforcement. Let's get that taken care of. And I think that's a big step in making sure that hurdle is crossed. Code enforcement, I'm going to go ahead and answer this. Code enforcement, there was a person, but that person didn't work out to the end. So the current code enforcement is helping with the recreation department. I mean, that's just how you do it in a small town where things just don't work out. You just work it. The West Water Tower follow-up 1 year ago, I mean, if the money was given 1 year ago, my first question would be, why wasn't it done 1 year ago? Because I know we have that question, but I also understand why some things haven't been done. I also understand that, so we'll look into that further. Club Eaton, yes, the roof did collapse. That conversation has already been had. We are aware of that. Removal of the item from the agenda, one of the first things I did was apologize. Because in the past, we have removed, changed, even that same night, the CRA agenda was amended. Nothing was said. I apologize. I said it won't happen again. I promise. I'm not going to get on my knees because I don't have good knees. But that's all. That's as far as I'm going to go with that. It's been said. For whatever reason that came up, I don't know. But that's okay. And I did not have February 7th. Oh, February 7th. You asked about the date. When the amendment was first done, the date, nothing really should have been stated. So if someone asked me, then definitely around February 7th. But until it's on the agenda, that's the official date. And right now it would be great for it to be the first meeting in February. With that being said, everyone please drive safely. Meeting is adjourned. It is 8:46. Oh, I move for the meeting be adjourned. So it's been moved. Second? Second. Moving to second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Good night, everyone.
Okay.